Men of Thebes, I am told that heavy accusations have been brought against me by King Oedipus. I am not the kind of man who bears this untamely. If in these present difficulties, he told me accountable for any harm to him, through anything I have said or done, why, then, I do not value life in this dishonor. It is not as through these rumors touch upon some private indiscretion. The matter is grave. The fact is that I am being called disloyal to my state, to my fellow citizen, to my friends.
He may have spoken in anger, not from his mind.
But did you not hear him say I was the one who seduced the old prophet into lying?
The thing was said, I do not know how soon.
But you were watching! Were his eyes steady? Did he not look like a man in his right mind?
I do not know. I cannot judge the behavior of great men. But here is the king himself.
So you dared come back?
No,
Why? How brazen of you to come to my house, you murderer! You think I do not know that you wanted to kill me? Plotted to steal my throne? Tell me, in God's name, am I a coward? A fool? Fool that you should dream you could accomplish this? A fool who could not see your slippery game? A coward? Not to fight back when I saw it? You are a fool, Creon. Are you not? Hoping without sport or no friends to get you get thrown. Thrones may want a bar you can do neither.
Now listen to me. You have talked. Let me talk too. You cannot judge unless you know the facts.
You speak well. There's one fact I find it hard to learn from the deadliest enemy I have.
That above all, I must dispute with you.
That above all, I will not hear you deny.
If you think there is anything good in being stubborn against all reason, then I say you are wrong.
If you think a man can sin against his own kind and not be punished for it, I say you are mad.
I agree. But tell me, what have I done to you?
You advised me to send for that wizard, did you not?
I did. I should do it again.
Very well. Now tell me, how long has it been since Laius,
What of Laius?
since he vanished in that onset by the road?
It was long ago. A long time.
And this prophet, was he practicing here then?
He was, and with honor as now.
Did he speak of me at that time?
He never did. At least, not when I
But,
was present.
but, the inquiry. I suppose you held one?
We did, but we learned nothing.
Why did the prophet not speak against me then?
I do not know. And I am the kind of man who holds his tongue when he has no facts to go on.
There's one fact that you know, and you could tell it.
What fact is that? If I know it, you shall have it.
If he were not involved with you, he could not say that it was I who murdered Laius.
If he says that, you are the one that knows it. But now, it is my turn to question you.
Put your question. I am no murderer.
First then, you married my sister,
I married your sister.
and you ruled this kingdom equally with her.
Everything that she wants, she has for me.
And I am third, equal to both of you.
That is why I call you a bad friend.
No, reason it out, as I have done. Think of this first. Would any sane man prefer power with all a king's anxieties? To that same power and the grace of sleep? Certainly not I. I have never longed for the king's power, only his rights. Would any wise man differ from me in this? As the matter stands, I have my way in everything, with your consent, and no responsibilities. If I were king, I should be a slave to politics. How could I desire a scepter more than what is now mine? Untroubled influence. No, I have not gone mad. I need no honor, except those with perquisites I have now. I am welcome everywhere. Every man salutes me, and those who want your favor seeks my ear. Since I know how to manage what they ask, should I exchange this ease for anxiety? Beside, no sober mind is treasonable. I hate anarchy. I never would deal with any man who likes it. That's what I have said. Go to the priestess at Delphi. Ask if I quoted her correctly. And as for the other thing, if I am found guilty of with Tiresias, then sentence me to death. You have my word. It is a sentence I should cast my vote for, but not without evidence. You do wrong when you take good men for bad, bad men for good. A true friend thrown aside, why life itself is not more precious. In time you will know this well, for time and time alone will show the just men, true scoundrels, and discovered in a day.
Do you, this is well said, and a prudent man would ponder it. Judgments too quickly are worthy.
But is he not quick in his duplicity? And shall I not be quick to parry him? Would you have me stand still, hold my peace, and let this man win everything through my inaction?
Yeah. And you want, what is it then? To banish me?
No, that's what I shall. It is your death I wish, so that all the world may see what treason means.
You will persist then. You will not believe me?
How can I believe you?
Then you are a fool.
To save myself?
Injustice, think of it.
You are evil incarnate.
But suppose that you are wrong,
Still, I must rule.
but not if you rule badly.
Oh, city, oh, city!
It is my city too.
Now, my lords, be still. I see the queen, Eopas, coming from her palace chambers, and it is time she came for the sake of you both. This dreadful quarrel can be resolved to
Poor foolish man, what wicked din is this? With this we seek to death. Is it not shameful that you should raise some private quarrel up? Come into the house, and you, Crayon, go now. Let us have no more of this stalemate over nothing.
Nothing? No, sister. What your husband plans for me is one of two great evils, exile or death.
He is right. Why, woman, I have caught him squarely, plotting against my life.
No! Let me die, accursed, if ever I have wished you harm.
Ah, believe it, Oedipus. In the name of the gods, respect this oath of his, for my sake, for the sake of these people here.
open your mind to her, my lord. Be ruled by her. I beg you.
do you have me do then?
Respect Creon's word. He has never spoken like a fool. And
I
now
know
he
what
has...
you ask!
I do?
Speak on then.
A friend so sworn should not be baited so, in blind malice and without final proof.
You are aware, I hope, that what you say means death for me, or exile at least.
No, I swear by Jesus, first in heaven, may I die friendless and a curse, the worst of deaths, if ever I meant that. It is the withering fields that hurt my sick heart. Must we bear all these ills, and now your blood God us more.
Then let him go! And let me die, if I must. Are we driven by him in shame from the land of Thebes? It is your unhappiness, and not his thought, that touches me. As for him, where, wherever he goes, hatred will follow him.
Ugly in yielding, as you are ugly in rage. Natures like your chiefly torments themselves.
Can you not go? Can you not leave me?
I can. You do not know me, but I know this. The city knows me. And it's in its eyes I am just, if not in yours.
Lady Eucas, did you not ask the king to go to his chambers?
First, tell me what has happened.
There was suspicion without evidence, yet it rankled, as even false charges were,
On both sides?
on both.
But what was said?
Oh, let it rest. Let it be done with. Have we not suffered enough? Nicholas?
He would not commit himself to such a charge. But he has brought in that damnable soothsayer to tell his story.
Oedipus, it is not want only I have told you. You must know I should count myself unwise. To the point of madness should I now forsake you. You under whose hand in the storm of another time, our dear land sailed out free, but now it's land fast at the helm.
In God's name, Oedipus, inform your wife as well. Why are you so set in this hard anger?
I will tell you. For none of these men deserves my confidence as you do. It is Creon's work. His treachery. His plotting against me.
Go on, if you can make this clear to me.
He charges me with the murder of Laius.
Has he some knowledge, or does he speak from hearsay?
He would not commit himself to such a charge, but he has brought in that damnable soothsayer to tell his story.
Set your mind at rest. If it is a question of hearsay, sayers, I tell you, that you will find no man whose craft give you knowledge of the unknowledgeable. Here is my proof. An oracle was reported to Laius once. I will not say from Phoebus himself, but from his appointed ministers at any rate, that his doom would be death at the hands of his own son, his son born of his flesh and of mine. Now, you remember that story. Laius was killed by murdering stranger where three highways meet. But his child has not been 3 days in this world, before the king had pierced the baby's ankle, and left him to die on a lonely mountainside. Thus, Apollo never caused that child to kill his father, and it was not Laius' fate to die at the hands of his son, as he had feared. This is what prophets and prophecies are worth. Have no dread of them. It is God Himself who can show us what He wills in, in His own ways.
How strange. A shadowy memory crossed my mind. Just now, while you were speaking, it chilled my heart.
What do you mean? What memory do you speak of?
If I understand you, Laius was killed at a place where three roads meet.
So it was said. We have no later story.
Where did it happen?
Focus. It is called at the place where the Theban Way divides into the roads towards Delphi and Zulia.
When?
We had the news not long before you came, and proved the right to your succession here.
Ah, God, what net have you been weaving for me?
Oedipus, what does this trouble you?
Do not ask me yet. First, tell me how Laius looked, and tell me, how old was he?
He was tall, his hair just touched with white. His form was not unlike your own.
Ah, I think that I myself may be accursed by my own ignorant edict.
You speak strangely. It makes me terrible to look at you, my king.
I am not sure what that blind man cannot see, but but I should know better if you were to tell me.
Anything, though I dread to hear you ask it.
Was the king lightly escorted, or did he ride with a large company, as a ruler should?
There were 5 men with him in all. One was herald, and a single chariot, which he was driving.
Alas, that makes it plain enough. But who? Who told you how it happened?
A house servant, the only one to escape.
Is he still a servant of ours?
No, for when he came back at from when he came back at last and found you enthroned in the place of the dead king, he came to me, touched my hand with his, and begged that I would send him away to the frontier district, where only shepherds go, as far away from the city
Ano
as I could
susumatin?
send him.
Dadala ko lang to.
I granted his prayer, for although the man was a slave, he had earned more than this favor at my hands.
Can he be called back quickly?
Easily, but why?
I have taken too much upon myself, without inquiry. Therefore I wish to consult him.
Then he shall come. But am I not one also, to whom you might confide these fears of yours?
That is your right. It will not be denied you. Now, least of all, for I have reached the pitch of wild foreboding. Is there anyone to whom I should sooner speak? Polybus of Corinth is my father. My mother is a Dorian, Merope. I grew up chief among men in Corinth until a strange thing happened. Not worth my passion, it may be, but strange. At a feast, a drunk, at a feast, a drunken man maundering his cups cries out that I am not my father's son. I contained myself that night, though I felt anger and a sinking heart. The next day I visited my father and mother, and I questioned them. They stormed, calling it the slanderous rant of a fool, and this relieved me. Yet the suspicion remained always aching in my mind. And I knew there was talk. I could not rest. And finally, saying nothing to my parents, I went to the shrine at Delphi. The god dismissed my question without reply. He spoke of other things. Some were clear, full of wretchedness, dreadful, unbearable, as that I should lie with my own mother, breed children from whom all men turn their eyes, and that I should be my father's murderer. I heard of this and fled. And from that day, court to me was only in the stars descending, ending in that quarter of the sky. As I wandered further and farther on my way, to a land where I should never see the evil sung by the oracle. And I came to this country where, so you say, King Elias was killed. I will tell you all that happened there, my lady. There were 3 highways coming together at the place I passed, and there a herald came towards me, and a chariot drawn by horses, with a man such as you describe, seated in it. The groom leading the horses forced me off the road at his lord's command. But as the charioteer lurched over towards me, I struck him in my rage. The old man saw me and brought his double goad down upon my head as I came abreast. He was paid back, and more. Swinging my club in my right hand, I knocked him off out of his car, and he rolled onto the ground. I killed them. I killed them all. Now, if that stranger and Laius were kin, where's a man more miserable than I, more hated by the gods? Citizen and alien alike must never shelter me or speak to me. I must be shunned by all, and I myself pronounce this malediction upon myself. Think of it. I have touched you with these hands that killed your husband. What defilement! Am I all evil? Then it must be so. Since I must flee from Thebes, yet never again see my own countrymen, my own country, for fear of joining my mother in marriage and killing Polybus, my father. Ah, if I was created so, born to this fate, who could deny the savagery of God? O holy majesty of heavenly powers! May I never see that day, never! Rather let me vanish from the race of men, than know the abomination destined me.
We
Argus.
too, my lord, have felt dismay at this. But there is hope. You have yet to hear the shepherd.
Indeed, I fear no other hope is left me.
What do you hope from him when he comes?
This much, if his account of the murder tallies with yours, then I am cleared.
What was it that I said of such importance?
Why, marauders, you said, killed the king. According to this man's story, if he maintains that still, if there were several, clearly the guilt is not mine. I was alone. But if he says one man, single-handed did it, then all evidence points to me.
You may be sure that he said that there were several. And can he call back that story now? He cannot. The whole city heard it as plainly as I. But suppose he alters some details of it. He cannot ever show that Laius' death fulfilled the oracle for Apollos. Fulfilled the oracle, for Apollo said, my child was doomed to kill him. And my child, my poor baby, it was my child that died first. No, from now on, where oracles are concerned, I will not waste a second thought of any.
You may be right. But come, let someone go for the shepherd at once. This matter must be settled.
I will send for him. I will not wish to crush you in anything, and surely not in this. Let us go in.
Let me reverent in the ways of right, lowly the paths I journey on. Let all my words and action keep the laws of the pure universe, from highest heaven handed down, for heaven is the right bright nurse. Those generation of the realms of light, ah, never of mortal kind were they begot. Not are they slaves of memory, lost in sleep. Their father is greater than time, and ages not.
The tyrant is a child of pride, who drinks from his great seeking cup. Recklessness and vanity endure from his high crest headlong. It vomits to the dust of folk. The strong man is not firm, but let no fears of ambition be denied. May God protect the restive of state, in government, in common policy, who will fear God and on his ordinance.
Haughtiness and the high hand of disdain tempt and outrage God's holy law, and any mortal who dares hold no immortal power in awe will be caught up in a net of pain, the price for which his levity is sold. Let each man take due earnings then, and keep his hand from holy things, and from blasphemy stand apart, else the crackling blast of heaven blows on his head and on his desperate heart. Though fools will honor impious men, in their cities no tragic poet sings.
Shall we go straight in Delphi's obscurities? You have heard the word scorn is credited in the sacred wood. Of Zeus at the least preach no more. This deed and that strange prophecy must make a pattern yet to be understood. Zeus, if indeed you are Lord of all, thrones in light over night and day, mirror this in your endless mind. Our masters call the oracle, words on the wind in the Delphic vision run. Their hearts no longer know Apollo, and reverence for the gods has died away.
Prince of Thebes, it has occurred to me to visit the altars of the god, bearing these branches as a suppliant and this incense. Our king is not himself. His noble soul is overwrought with these fantasies of dread. Else, he would consider the new prophecies in the light of the old. He will listen to any voice that speak disaster, and my advice goes for nothing. To you then, Apollo, Lycian Lord, since you are nearest, I turn in prayer. Receive these offerings, and grant us deliverance from the defilement. Our hearts are heavy with fear. When we see our leader distracted and helpless sailor, are terrified by confusion of their helmsman.
Friends, no doubt you can direct me. Where shall I find the house of Oedipus? Or better still, where is the king himself?
It is this very place, stranger. He is inside. This is his wife and mother of his children.
I wish her happiness in a happy house, blessed in all the fulfillment of her marriage.
I wish as much for you. Your courtesy deserves a like good fortune. But now, tell me, why have you come? What have you to say to us?
Good news, my lady, for your house and your husband.
What news? Who sent you here?
I am from Corinth. The news I bring I ought to mean joy for you. Though it may be you will find some grief in it.
What is it? How can it touch us in both ways?
The word is that the people of Isthmus intend to call Oedipus to be their king.
But old King Polybus, is he not reigning still?
No, that holds him in his sepulchre.
What are you saying? Polybus is dead?
If I am not telling the truth, may I die myself.
Go on quickly. Tell this to your master. O riddlers of God, O fidelis of God's will, where are you now? This is the man whom Oedipus long ago feared so, fled so, in dread of destroying him. But it was another fate by which he died.
Dearest Yocasta, why have you sent for me?
Listen to what this man says, and then tell me what has become of these solemn prophecies.
Who is this man? What is his news for me?
He has come from Corinth to announce your father's death.
Is it true, stranger? Tell me in your own words.
I cannot say it more clearly. The king is dead.
Was it by treason? Or by an attack of illness?
A little things brings old men to their rest.
So it was sickness then?
Yes, and his many years.
Why should a man respect the Pythian hearth, or give heed to the birds that jangle above his head? They prophesied that I should kill Polybus, kill my own father, but he is dead and buried, and I am here. I never touched him, never, unless he died of grief for my departure. Sure. And thus, in a sense, through me, no. Polybus has packed the oracles off with him in underground. They are but empty words now.
Had I not told you so?
You had! It was my faint heart that betrayed me.
From now on, never think of those things again.
And yet, must I not fear my mother's bed?
Why should anyone in this world be afraid? Since fate rules us and nothing can be foreseen, a man should live only for the present day. Have no more fear of sleeping with your mother. How many men in dreams have lain with their mothers? No reasonable man is troubled by such thing.
That is true. Only, if only my mother, otherwise not still alive. But she is alive. I cannot help my dread.
Yet this news of your father's death is wonderful.
Wonderful, but I fear the living woman.
Tell me, who is the woman that you fear?
It is Merope, man of the what? Man, the wife of King Polybus.
Merope? Why should you be afraid of her?
An oracle of the gods, a dreadful saying.
Can you tell me about it, or are you sworn to silence?
I can tell you, and I will. Apollo said through his prophet that I was the man who should marry his own mother, shed his father's blood with his own hands. And so, for all these years, I have kept clear of Corinth, and no harm has come, though it would be sweet to see my parents again.
And is this the fear that drove you out of Corinth?
Would you have me kill my own father?
As for that, you must be reassured by the news I gave you.
If you could reassure me, I would reward you.
I had that in mind, I will confess. I thought I could count on you when you returned to Corinth.
No, I will never go near my parents again.
Ah, son, you still do not know what you are doing.
What do you mean? In the name of God, tell me!
If these are your reasons for not going home,
I tell you, I fear the oracle may come true.
and guilt may come upon you through your parents,
That is the dread that is always in my heart.
can you not see that all your fears are groundless?
How can you say that? They are my parents, surely.
Polybus was not your father,
Not my father?
no more your father than the man speaking to you.
But you are nothing to me.
Neither was he.
Then why did he call me son?
I will tell you. Long ago, he had you from my hands as a gift.
Then how could he love me so if I was not his?
He had no children, and his heart turned to you.
What of you? Did you buy me? Did you find me by chance?
I came upon you, the crooked pass of Kithairon,
And what were you doing there?
tending my flocks.
A wandering shepherd?
But your Savior, son, that day,
From what did you save me?
your uncle should tell you that.
Ah, stranger, what you speak of that childhood pain?
I cut the bands that tied your ankles together.
I've had that mark for as long as I can remember.
That was why you were given the name you bear.
God! Was it my father or my mother who did it? Tell me!
I do not know. The man who gave you to me can you can tell you better than I.
It was not you who that found me, but another.
It was another shepherd gave you to me.
Who was he? Can you tell me who he was?
I think he was said to be one of Laius' people.
You mean the Laius, who was king here years ago?
Yes, King Laius, and the man who was one of his herdsmen.
Is he still alive? Can I see him?
These men here know best about such things.
Does anyone here know the shepherd that he's talking about? Have you seen him in the fields or in the town? If you have, tell me. It is time things were made plain.
I think the man he means is that same shepherd you have already asked to see. Eucas perhaps could tell you something.
Do you know anything about him, lady? Is he the man we have summoned? Is that the man the shepherd means?
Why think of him? Forget this herdsman. Forget it all. This
How
talk
can,
is waste of time.
how can you say that when the clues to my true birth are in my hands?
For God's love, let us have no more questioning. Is your life nothing to you? My own pain is enough for me to bear.
You need not worry. Suppose my mother a slave and born of slaves, no baseness can touch you.
Listen to me, I beg you. Do not do this thing.
I will not listen. The truth must be made known.
Everything that I say is for your own good.
My own good snaps my patience. Patience. Then I want none of it.
If you're fatally wrong, may you never learn who you are.
Go, one of you, and bring the shepherd here. Let's leave this woman to brag of her royal name.
Ugh, miserable. This is the only word I have for you now. That is the only word I can ever have.
Why has she left us, Oedipus? Why has she gone for a passion of sorrow? I fear this silence something dreadful may come to it.
Let it come! However base my verse, I must know about it. The queen, like a woman, is perhaps ashamed to think of my low origin. But I am a child of luck. I cannot be dishonored. Luck is my mother. The passing months, my others have seen me rich and poor. If this is so, how could I wish that I were someone else? How could I not be glad to know of my birth? Let's leave to the shepherd.
If ever the coming time were known, to my heart's pondering. Kithairon, now by heaven I see the torches. At the festival of the next full moon, and see the dance, and hear the choir sing. A grace to your gentle shade, mountain where Oedipus was found. O mountain guard of a noble race, may the God who heals us lend his aid, and let that glory come to pass, for our king's cradling ground.
Of the nymphs that flower beyond the years, who bore you, royal child? To pan of the hills of or the timberline upon, cold in the light where the upland lay clear, of hermits for whom Kylie's height are piled, A luscious evening cloud, great Leontis, roamer of mountains. He, was it he who found you there, and caught you up in his own broad arms from the sweet god ravisher who lost by the music fountain?
Sirs, though I do not know this man, I think I see him coming. The shepherd we want. He is old, like our friend here, and the men bring him seem to be servants of my house.
Wise man, you can trust him.
Tell me first, you from Corinth, is this the shepherd we were discussing?
This is the very man.
Come here. No, look at me. You must answer everything I ask. You belong to Laius?
Yes, born his slave, brought up in his house.
Tell me, what kind of work did you do for him?
I was a shepherd of his most of my life.
Where may did you go for pasturage?
Sometimes Kithaeron, sometimes the hills nearby.
Do you remember ever seeing this man out here?
What would he be doing there? This man?
This man standing here. Have you ever seen him before?
No, at least not in my recollection.
And that is not strange, my lord, but I refresh his memory. He must remember when we two spent 3 whole seasons together, March to September, on Kitairon or thereabouts. He had 2 flocks, I had one. Each autumn I drive mine home, and he would go back with his to Laius' sheepfold. Is this not true, just as I have described it?
True, yes, but it was all long ago.
Well then, do you remember, back in those days, that you gave me a baby boy to bring up as my own?
What if I did? What are you trying to say?
King Oedipus was once that little child.
Damn you, hold your tongue.
No more of that!
No,
It is your tongue that needs watching, not this man's.
My king, my master, what is it I have done wrong?
You have not answered his questions about the boy.
He does not know. He is only making trouble.
Come, speak plainly, or it will go hard with you.
In God's name, do not torture an old man.
Come, here, one of you. Bind his arms behind him.
Unhappy king, what more do you wish to learn?
Did you give this man the child he speaks of?
I did, and I would to God I had died that very day.
You will die now. Ow. Wait. You will die now unless you speak the truth.
Yet if I speak the truth, I am worse than dead.
Very well. Since you insist upon delaying,
No! I have told you already that gave him the boy.
where did you get him from? From your house? From somewhere else?
Not from mine. No, a man gave him to me.
Is this man here? Do you know whose slave he was?
For, for God's love, my king, do not ask me any more.
You are a dead man if I have to ask you again.
Then, then the child was from the palace of Laius.
A slave child? Or a child of his own line?
Uh, I'm on the brink of dreadful speech.
And I am of dreadful hearing. Yet I must hear.
If you must be told, then. They said it was Laius's child, but it is your wife who can tell you about that.
My wife! Did she give it to you?
My lord, she did.
Do you know why?
I was told to get rid of it.
Unspeakable mother!
There have been prophecies.
Tell me.
It was said that the boy would kill his own father.
Then why did you give him over to this old man?
I pitied the baby, my king, and I thought this man would take him far away to his own country. He saved him, but for what a fate! For if you are what this man says you are, no man living is more wretched than Oedipus.
Ah, God! It was true! All the prophecies! Now, now, oh light, may I look on you on the last time? Ah, Oedipus! Oedipus damned in his birth, in his marriage! Damned! Damned in the blood he shed with his own hand!
Alas for the seed of men! What measure shall I give these generations that breathe on the void and are void, and exist and do not exist? Who bears more weight of joy than mass of sunlight shifting in images? Or who shall make his thought stay on, that downtime drifts away? Your splendor, your splendor is all fallen, O naked brow of wrath and tears, O change of Oedipus! I who saw your days call no man blessed. Your great days like ghost gone.
That mine was a strong bow. Deep, how deep you drew it then, hard archer. At a deep, fearful range, and brought dear glory down. You overcame the stranger, the virgin with her looking iron lying cloth, and though death's sand stood like a tower, to make pale these they carved, fortress against our sorrow, true king, giver of laws, majestic Oedipus, no prince in Thebes, however such renown, no prince, won such grace of power.
And now, of all men ever known, most pitiful is this man's story. His fortunes are most changed, his state, fallen to a low slaves, ground under bitter fate. O Oedipus, most royal one, the great door that expelled you to the light, gave at night, gave night to your glory, as to the father, to the fathering son, all understood too late. How could that queen whom Laius won, the garden that he harrowed at his height, be silent when that act was done?
But all eyes fail before time's eye. All actions come to justice there. Though never will, though far down the deep path, your bed, your dead things are brought to book at last. Child by liars doomed to die, is doomed to lose that fortunate little death. But God, you never took breath in this air. That is my willing lips I take to die. For I reap the world's outcast. I was blind, and now can tell why. In sleep for you had given ease of breath to thieves for the false years and sky.
Elders of Thebes, most honored in this land, what horrors are yours to see and hear! What weight of sorrow to be endured, if true to your birth you venerate the line of Labdacos. You, I think neither Istros or Phasis, those great rivers, could purify this place of corruption. It shelters now, or soon must bring to light, evil not done unconsciously, but willed. The greatest griefs are those we cause ourselves.
Surely, friend, we have grief enough already. What news or do you mean?
The queen is dead.
Ilkas? Dead? But at whose hand?
Her own. The full horror of what happened you cannot know. For what For you did not see it, but I, who did, will tell you, as clearly as I can, how she met her death. When she left us, in passionate silence, passing through her court. She ran to her apartment in the house, her hair clutched by the fingers of both hands. She closed the doors behind her. Then, by that bed, where long ago the fatal son was conceived, that son who should bring about her father's death, we heard her call upon Laius, dead so many years, and heard her wail for the double fruit of her marriage, a husband by her husband, children by her child. Exactly how she died, I do not know, for Oedipus burst in moaning and would not let us keep vigil to the end. It was by him, as he stormed about the room, that our eyes were caught. From one to another of us he went, begging a sword, cursing the wife who she was, not his wife, the mother, whose womb had carried his own children and himself. I do not know. It was none of us aided him, but surely one of the gods was in control. But for with a dreadful cry he hurled his weight as though wrenched out of himself. At the twin doors the bolts gave and rushed in, and there we saw her hanging, her body swaying from the cruel cord she had loosed around her neck. A great sob broke from him, heart-breaking to hear, as he loosed the rope and lowered her to the ground. I would blot out from my mind what happened next, for the king ripped from her gown the golden brooches that were her ornament, and raised them and plunged them down straight into his own eyeballs, crying, "No more, no more shall you look on the misery about me, the horrors of my own doing. Too long you have known the faces of those whom I should have never seen, too long been blind to those for whom I was searching. From this hour, go in darkness." And as he spoke, he struck at his eyes, not once, but many times, as the blood spattered his beard, bursting from his ruined sockets like red hail. So from the unhappiness of two this evil has sprung, a curse on the man and woman alike. The old happiness of the house of Labdacos was happiness enough. Where is it today? It is all wailing and ruin, disgrace, death, all the misery of mankind that has a name, and it is wholly for ever theirs.
Is he in agony still? Is there no rest for him?
He is calling for someone to lead him to the gates, so that all the children of Cadmos may look upon his father's murder, his mother's. No, I cannot say it. And then he will leave Thebes, self-exiled, in order for that curse which he himself pronounced may depart from the house. He is weak, and there is none to lead him. So terrible is his suffering. But you will see, look, the doors are opening. In a moment you will see a thing that would crush a heart of stone.
Dreadful indeed for men to see. Never have my own eyes looked on a sight so full of fear. Oedipus, what madness came upon you? What demon leaped on your life with heavier punishment than a mortal man can bear? No, I cannot even look at you, poor ruined one, and I would speak, question, wounded, horrible. No, you make me shudder.
God, God, is there a sorrow greater? Where shall I find harbor in this world? My voice is heard far on a dark wind. What has God done to me?
Too terrible to think of, to see.
O cloud of night, I'd never to be turned away. Night coming on. I can't tell how. Night like a shroud. My fair winds brought me here. Oh God, again. The pain of the spikes where I had sight. The flooding pain of memory, never to be gouged out.
This is not strange. You suffer it all twice over. Remorse and pain, pain and remorse.
Ah, dear friend, are you faithful even yet you alone? Are you still standing near me? Will you stay here, patient to care for the blind? Yet even blind, the blind man, yet even blind I know who it is attends me, by the voice of tone, though my new darkness hides the comforter.
Oh, fearful laugh! What god was it drove you to make black night across your eyes? Oedipus,
Apollo, Apollo, dear children, the god was Apollo. He brought my sick, sick fate upon me. But my blinding hand was my own. How could I bear to see when all my sight was horror everywhere?
everywhere, that is true.
And now what is left? Images? Love? A greeting even. Sweet to the senses. Is there anything? Ah, no, friends, lead me away from Thebes. Lead the great wreck and hell of Oedipus, whom the gods hate.
Your fate is clear. You are not blind to that. With God, you have never found it out.
Death, take the man who unbound my feet on the hillside and delivered me from death to life. What life! If I had died, this weight of monstrous doom could not have been dragged me and my darlings down.
I would have never wished the same.
Oh, never to have come here with my father's blood upon me. Never to have been the man they call his mother's husband. To have entered that wretched bed, the self same one more primal than sin itself. This fell to me.
I do not know how can I answer you. You were better dead than alive and blind.
Do not counsel me any more. This punishment that I've laid upon myself is just. If I had eyes, I do not know how I could bear the sight of my father when I come to the house of death, or my mother, for I have sinned against them both. So vilely I could not make my peace by strangling my own life. Or do you think my children, born as they were born, would be sweet to my eyes? Ah, never, never! Oh, this town with its high walls. No, the holy images of gods. For I, thrice miserable, Oedipus, noblest of all the line of Cadmus, have condemned myself to enjoy these things no more by my own malediction, expelling that man who the gods declared to be the defilement in the house of Laius, after exposing the rankness of my own guilt. How could I look men frankly in the eyes? No, I swear it. If I could have been stifled by hearing at its source, I would have done it and made all this body a tight cell of misery, blank to light and sound. So I should have been safe in a dark agony beyond all recollection. Ah, Kithiron, why did you shelter me when I was cast upon you? Why did I not die? That I should never have shown the world of my execrable birth. Polybus, Corinth, city that I believe the ancient seat of my ancestors. How fair I seemed, your child, and all the while this evil was cancerous within me. For I am sick in my daily life, sick to my origin. Oh, three roads, dark ravine, woodland and way where three roads meet. It met you, drinking my father's blood, my own blood, spilled by my own hands. Can you remember the unspeakable things I did there, and the things I went on from there to do? Oh, marriage, marriage, the act that was engendered me, and again the act performed by the sons in the same bed. Ah, the net of incest, mingling fathers, brothers, sons, with brides, wives, and mothers. The last evil that can be known by men. No tongue can say how evil. No, for the love of God conceal me somewhere far from Thebes, or kill me or hurl me into the sea, away from men's eyes forever. Come, lead me. You need not fear to touch me. Of all men, I alone bear this guilt.
We are not ones to decide, but Creon here may fitly judge of what you ask. He only is
Alas,
left to take the city in your place.
alas, how can I speak to him? What right have I to beg his courtesy, whom I have deeply wronged?
I have not come to mock you, Oedipus, or to reproach you either. You, standing there, if you have lost all respect for man's dignity, at least respect the flame of Lord Helios. Do not allow this pollution to show itself openly here, an affront to the earth and heaven's reign and the light of day. No, take him into the house as quickly as you can, for it is proper that only the close kindred see his grief.
I pray to you, in God's name, since your courtesy ignores my dark expectation, visiting with the mercy this man of all men most execrable. Give me what I ask, for your own good, not for mine.
And what is it that you want me to do?
Drive me out of this country as quickly as may be, to a place where no human voice can ever greet me.
I should have done that before now. Only God's will had not been wholly revealed to me.
But his command is plain. The parasite must be destroyed. I am that evil man.
That is some sense of it, yes. But as things are, we had best discover clearly what is to be done.
Would learn more about a man like me.
You are ready now to listen to the God.
I will listen, but it's to you that I must turn for help. I beg you, hear me! The woman in there, give her whatever funeral you think proper. She is your sister. But let me go, Creon. Let me purge my father's thieves of the pollution of my living here, and go out to the wild hills, to Kithiron, that has won such fame with me, the tomb my mother and father appointed for me. and let me die there, as they willed it. I should, yet I know death will never ever come to me through sickness or in any natural way. I have been preserved for some unthinkable fate, but let that be. As for my sons, you need not care for them. They are men. They will find some way to live. But my poor daughters, who have shared my table, who have never been imparted from their father, take care of them, Creon. Do this for me. And will you let me touch them with my hands a last time? And let us weep together. Be kind, my lord. Great prince, be kind. When I could touch them, they would be mine again as when I had eyes. Ah, God, God, is that my dearest children I hear weeping? Has Creon pitied me and sent my daughters?
Yes, Oedipus. I know that they were dear to you in the old days. And now, you must love them still.
May God bless you for this, and be a friendlier guardian to you than has been to me. Children, where are you? Come quickly to my hands. They are your brothers. Hands that have brought your father's once clear eyes to this way of seeing. Ah, dearest ones, I had neither sight nor knowledge then. Your father by the woman who was the source of his own life, and I weep for you. Having no strength to see, I weep you for you when I think of all the bitterness that men will visit upon you on all your lives. What homes, what festivals can you attend without being forced to part again in tears? And when you come to marriageable age, where is the man, my daughters, who would dare risk the pain that lies on all my children? Is there any evil wanting? Who would dare? Is it your father killed his father, sowed the womb of her who bore him, engendered you at the fount of his own existence? That is what they say of you. Then whom can you ever marry? There are no bridegrooms for you, and all our lives must wither away in sterile dreaming. O Creon, son of Menoiacus, you are the only father my daughters have, since we, their parents, are both of us gone forever. They are of your own blood. You will not let them fall into beggary and loneliness. You will keep them from miseries that are mine. Take pity on them. See, they are only children, friendless except for you. Promise me this, great prince. Give me your hand in token of it. Children, I could say much if you could understand me. But as it is, I have only this prayer for you. Live where you can. Be happy as you can. Happier, please God, than God has made your father.
Enough. You have wept enough. Now go within.
I must, but it is hard.
Time is all things.
But you must promise.
Say what you desire.
Send me from Thebes!
God grant that I may.
But since God hates me,
No, He will grant your wish.
you promise?
I cannot speak beyond my knowledge.
Then lead me in.
Come now, and leave your children.
No! Do not take it from me!
Think no longer that you are in command here, but rather think how. when you were to serve your own destruction.
Men of thieves, look upon Oedipus. This is the king who solved the famous riddle, and towered up, most powerful of men. No motorized horse looked on him with envy, yet in the end, ruin swept over him. Let every man in mankind's frailty consider his last day, and let none presume on his good fortune, until he find life at his death a memory without pain.